Hello, my name is Kat Bodwin, and this is my Pecha Kucha, litter culture around ponds in the greater Boston area. This project will investigate 3 separate ponds for the selection of a arts activism community collaboration site. After moving from the desert city of Phoenix, Arizona, I became fascinated by public parks with water features in the greater Boston area. The foundation of this project derives from an interest in public parks with ponds, benefits for those using them, and the tendency for each neighborhood to invest in sustainable litter management. This research primarily uses arts-based research methodologies such as visual phenomenology and art as aesthetic intervention to answer several questions, including what are the various functions of public parks with ponds, how does design and maintenance support environmental vitality of the park, and what is the impact of litter on water quality. This research will use the term anthropogenic litter, or AL for short, to describe waste left behind by humans. These cause several hazards to the environment, from causing algae blooms, cigarette butts releasing carcinogens, dog waste harboring E. coli, AL blocking drains, stagnating streams, causing flooding, and increasing mosquito breeding sites. Additionally, mismanaged trash can suffocate wildlife, inhibit nutrient cycling, and attract more fauna to increase bacteria-laden waste in freshwater sources. There are several strategies to minimize the prevalence of anthropogenic litter. Although signage is the most prevalent, it is not the most successful. More effective strategies include having trash cans and recycling in key locations, installing cameras, facilitating regular community education events, and paying someone to empty trash regularly. When evaluating what causes and prevents littering, a 2019 study in Jordan discovered the most significant reasons for littering were complacency with the status quo, education levels, and perception of whose responsibility maintaining the space was. This research concluded that littering was not related to income, but rather environmental knowledge. Several other studies also called for an additional need in environmental education, both for kids and adults. Most simply put, environmental education has failed because it is not keeping pace with environmental degradation, explains marine conservationist Charles Ceylon. Eco-justice adult education and adult environmental education continue to be growing fields of international significance. In 1992, the United Nations had a summit and stated the underlying urgency beyond K-12 schooling in which adult ecological education is imperative to the global ecological crisis. This project will also produce arts-based research investigating if the creation of site-specific ecological public art can address these gaps in research. Using theories and best practices from various environmental and community-based art researchers, this project uses civic engagement as a tool to transform collective consciousness. Visual arts-based research theorists like bell hooks argue in support of art's ability to engage and formulate public perception. Hooks theorizes arts is a vehicle to communicate cultural norms and break down political ideas, social constructs, and community beliefs. Employing the arts increases the likelihood for sustainable improvements in litter culture. Site selection will occur after surveying various ponds in the greater Boston area and documenting both litter and community activity. After analyzing these results, one site will be selected for a 2-day multi-generational ecological education event. These events will include trash cleanups, environmental education activities, and ecological art creations on both days. The first site surveyed was Fresh Pond in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It is located between a commercial center and newly built and historic neighborhoods. The park had several sites for recreation and relaxation, which did contribute to some of the litter, though there were actively participants cleaning up, including those paid by the city. Process map shown here shows my path around the park, photographs of some of the litter that I documented, as well as quotes and other artifacts around the park itself. This includes waste totals and the different types of waste that were found on site around Fresh Pond. The next site I visited was Jamaica Pond in Jamaica Plain, Boston, Massachusetts. As Jamaica Plain is rapidly gentrifying, the park is definitely experiencing that as well, undergoing multiple improvements, including new barriers, irrigation systems, trash cans, and benches. A cleanup and renovation project concluded the week before may have caused the totals of anthropogenic litter to be so low at this site. Further site visits and research will be required in order to best understand the litter culture at this specific site. Spy Pond in Arlington, Massachusetts is the final location surveyed in this research. Wedged between Route 2 and Massachusetts Avenue in a residential middle-class to upper-middle-class neighborhood, this pond has two small parks, one private and one public, but has the largest concentration of anthropogenic litter. Cigarette butts, alcohol nips, and single-use plastics for food consumption were the major AL sources at this site. It is possible that the park's location along major transportation routes, including the Minuteman bike path, caused people to feel less associated to the space and more likely to contribute to litter. When looking at the timeline ahead, this project is already in the fourth step. Following steps include meeting with community partners, gathering resources, marketing event, hosting the event, and then analyzing the data after it is collected. Findings will be presented as both arts-based research on site in the form of public ecological art, as well as a final research paper determining the success of the event and its areas for improvement. Spy Pond's high concentrations of anthropogenic litter makes it a clear choice for the site of this community-based ecological art project. This multi-generational ecological education event creatively enhances public knowledge in order to establish generations of sustainable stewards.